Hi guys, and welcome back to the garage, and a very happy new year to you all for 2023. This video is going to be mainly another disembodied voice one, relating to a magazine that I picked up on one of my recent trips around some French classic car shows. There are videos about that elsewhere on the channel, so if you want to see some of the places I visited, go and have a look. And the magazine in question is a copy of L'Automobile, a French magazine from May 1969, and features a 10-car giant test, which was carried out over 4,000 kilometres, or if you're in the UK, 2,500 miles. Now, the first thing that grabbed my attention was the fact that I've had some experience of most of these cars, having owned Beetles. I've driven and worked on Minis, Simca's 1100s, Renault 6s, and when I was younger, I've been backseat passengers in DAFs, Fiat 850s, Cadets, and even a friend of mine had a Honda 600, which we used to blast around the West Midlands on, which was a great little car. And then the second thing is the date of the magazine, as the ME8, which is the main car of interest for this video, had only been officially launched at the Geneva Motor Show in early March 1969. And given the lead times for magazines, this road test must have been carried out before the official launch of the car, as the magazine itself was published in May 1969. So this was really a pre-production car. So how did the ME8 fare? Well, let's have a look. The road tests start off by giving a short history of each car, and describes the arrival of the ME8 as having been a well-guarded secret. The new styling is described as, and I quote, less tormented than its predecessor, which is a bit harsh, which is not really an overwhelming vote of confidence, to be honest. Mechanically, there was little of note, with only minor upgrades. The purchase cost was at the lower end of the scale at 8,800 francs. The Renault 6 is marked down as 200 francs less, with the DAF being the most expensive at 10,700 francs. The Mini was 10,158, just out of interest. To give an idea of some relative prices, the Mini was £630 in the UK at that time, which would have been 7,471 francs. So the Mini's price had been inflated by nearly 50% once exported and marketed in France, which is a fair old hike. Using an online calculator, that would make the Mini around £13,300 on today's market. 7 optional extras were listed for the ME: a centrifugal clutch at a surprisingly inexpensive 116 francs, which is not much for a large upgrade, as we shall see. Separate front seats were 160 francs. You could then upgrade the seat covering to a Targa covering for 105 francs. Front seat belts, 148 francs, or you could have them fitted to front and rear for 280. The first part of the actual test was the car's performance on the road, including general speed, comfort, tank range. Surprisingly, the Honda came first, despite being a little noisy, with what they regarded as uninspiring suspension. It was saved by its peppy performance, coupled with excellent fuel economy. The ME then came in second, and it was praised for its balance of speed and economy, although excelling in neither. There wasn't much to choose between third and fourth, which were the Fiat and the Renault respectively. The Beetle came in last, as despite having the biggest engine, it gave the poorest performance, coupled with the heaviest fuel consumption. Around town, the Fiat shone, being nippy, small and comfortable. The Mini came third in this category for similar reasons, with the ME trailing behind in 6th place, mainly due to its engine noise when accelerating. Once again, the Beetle dragged its heels, with weak acceleration and poor economy. The town test then continued with an assessment of the gearbox, and unsurprisingly, the variomatic system of the DAF saw it head the group. The Beetle, being a semi-automatic, did well too, coming in second. The ME was 6th once more, mainly due to a crunchy first gear selection. and anyone who has previously owned an A-series car will know that that is indeed very true. Out of town, the top two places were reversed, with the Volkswagen's ability to actually select a gear being slightly preferable to the DAF. The AMI slipped yet another place, despite scoring well for clutch feel, although all the marks were pretty close in this category. The general road manners section was headed by the Simca, with no noticeable defects to report at all, followed by the Mini, which was praised for its tight turning circle. The AMI rolled in a disappointing 7th. The steering was criticised for being heavy, especially at low speeds, and having a poor turning circle. The poor old Opel came in last, with a sluggish and imprecise feel to the steering compared to the rest. Comfort on the road was assessed next, surely a top place for the AMI, but no, it was pipped to the post by the Renault 6, because it had a better driving position. In the actual comfort stakes, it was a draw between the pair. The Mini came last, and to be fair, it is quite well known for having harsh suspension. In-town comfort was slightly less successful than the ME, as it dropped to 9th, a rather poor 9th in fact, thanks mainly to the criticism of the flat angle of the steering wheel, despite the steering column having been relocated compared to its predecessor, the AMI 6. When it came to road holding itself, the AMI topped the table, tied with the Simca. Although both cars were very different in design, their stability was excellent, even when provoked by clumsy driving. In-town manoeuvrability was unsurprisingly headed by the smallest cars of the group, with the bottom 5, which included the AMI, being virtually inseparable. Braking power for the Citroën was average. The stopping power itself was okay, but required a heavy push on the pedal for maximum efficiency. Equipment levels were low on all the cars, as they represented the economy end of the market, and the AMI was mid-range of a poor bunch, really, with the Mini trailing behind the others by some margin. Surprisingly, the Renault won this section, as I've always thought it to just be as austere as the Citroën, but clearly the testers preferred it. Luggage space was won by the Simca, with the Citroën in 3rd place, and the Mini and the Honda brought up the rear, as they're both tiny cars. The AMI topped the table on visibility and access, thanks mainly to its large glass area and its 4 doors. The test concluded with the Renault, Fiat, Simca and AMI taking the top 4 places in that order. The Renault won out because it was described as an all-round honest workhorse. The Fiat came next as it was small, easy to drive, with good road holding and good comfort. The Simca was a bland but generally good all-rounder. And then finally the AMI in 4th, which was let down compared to the top 3 by being noisier, slower in acceleration, especially when loaded, although its comfort and its road holding helped balance out some of these criticisms. So there we have it, a slightly underwhelming result for Citroën after its revamp of the AMI 6, and no doubt a major disappointment for the factory. There was one slight fillip for them though in the end, as the results were then weighted according to price, which pushed the Fiat well down the table and left the AMI in 3rd place overall. It would be interesting to see how you would have placed these cars, as I'm not sure the final table would have been my choice before I read the test. Let me know in the comments. See if you think you would have agreed with this assessment. Thanks for watching. Have a look at some of my other French car videos if you're into this sort of thing, and hope to see you again soon.